Tonight we're going to be talking about successful co-parenting. Let the main thing, or keep rather, the main thing, the main thing. You type that in the comments. Keep the main thing, the main thing. So successful co-parenting. When I think of co-parenting and when we think of co-parenting, we should think about the future. We should think futuristically. So if we look at the state or the nature of our country right now, our society right now, and you think, okay, what is it going to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now? What is it going to be, 20 years down the road? We have to think about the next generation, the younger generation, our children, or our sons and daughters, or nieces, or nephews. All of it. We have to think about them. So when I think about parenting, I think about the future. And if we don't handle this next generation, our sons, our daughters, our nieces, our nephews, our godchildren, if we don't handle them properly and handle them the way God intends for them to be handled, then what is 10 years from now going to look like? What is 15 years from now what is 5 years from now going to look like? So we are responsible really for creating our future, not only when it pertains to our business, not only when it comes on to our own personal endeavors and dreams and goals that we're chasing after. That's with our world too, and our children. They are the future. So successful co-parenting, keep the main thing the main thing. It takes a village to raise a child. You've heard that statement before. It's a very popular statement. I believe it's true. It really does take a village to raise a child. So when you think of co-parenting, it's not only confined or only restricted to the father and the mother. It takes a village. It takes a team. You have grandparents. You have great-grandparents. You have aunts. You have uncles. You have godparents. You have, come on, give me some more. What else do we have? Type in what else do we have? Friends, mentors, or close friends, right? So we have we have the teachers. We have our pastors. It's so many levels and impacts to parenting and co-parenting. So we're going to talk about all of that tonight. I want to cover the fullness of it and not be incomplete, so that we can prepare our children, or we can get our children ready. Some people know I'm smiling after I say that word. We can get our children ready for the future and for developing them and training them up. So keep the main thing the main thing. We're talking about successful co-parenting. If you think about any sports team, it could be any sport. You could go to basketball, you can go to baseball, you name it, football. There's a coaching staff. Even though there may be a head coach, there is a coaching staff. So in that, you have the assistant coach, you have the video director, you have the coach that's responsible for developing players, you have the scouting department, you might have another 7 or 8 coaches. So a coaching staff is it's quite a bit of people. Even though you might hear of the head coach and know of the head coach, the training and the development that happens on that team is the coaching staff's responsibility. It's the same way if we bring it over into the realm of parenting. The father and the mother, they're the head coach. Okay, that's the head coach. And then all the assistant coaches and scouting department and all of developmental department, all of that, they follow the lead of the head coach. The success of the team, the failure of the team, the direction of the team, the successes of the team, that's led by the head coach. Ultimately, the head coach, the father and the mother, are responsible primarily for the success of the children or child, depending on how many you have. So it takes a village to raise a child. It's not only up to the father and the mother. So if you're an aunt, if you're an uncle, if you're a grandparent, this conversation for us tonight is very relevant. It includes you. You're not excluded from it. So don't try to exclude yourself from it. All right. All right. So let's get into keeping the main thing, successful co-parenting. I said it, 4 times now, because I don't want you to forget it. I have a lot to say. I don't want you to forget it. When I think of parenting, or when we think of parenting, simply put, we can say that parenting is training. Parenting is training. And in that training, there are levels or different aspects to that training. In that training, you're going to be developed. You're going to be trained. You're going to be scolded. You're going to be affirmed. You're going to be given security. You're going to be given things to help you get better. You're going to weaknesses are going to be strengthened. Your strengths are going to be highlighted. And so parenting is training. One of the first things of being successful in anything, but since we're talking about parenting, is understand what it is we're engaging in. We all have to be on the same page. So let's start from the dynamic of a mother and a father in the same home, co-parenting in the same home. The success starts, the winning starts at understanding, what is this parenting? What are we doing? Is parenting only buying them some clothes, buying them some shoes? Is parenting only providing a home, a shelter? It's not only one aspect. It's all of that. All of that is included. And so we have to get to the depths or the length of what that is. So parenting should develop. We're talking about training. You're caring for someone. You're developing the children, right? And in that, parenting should provide security. It should provide direction. It should provide stability. It should provide affirmation, attention, identity. And I'm going to speak about all these things more in-depthly individually. But these are some of the things that we should be exemplifying or giving our children in parenting. You want to provide an environment for the child, for the children, that's going to cause them to excel psychologically, emotionally, physically, socially, and in every area that pertains to them or pertains to a human. I find that many times, I'm sorry, you all. I find that many times, what's going on with my voice? I find that many times I'll say people, don't take into consideration that children have emotions. They have a living soul. They have their own personalities that are being developed, their own likes, their own dislikes. They're a human being just like you. They feel like you. They hurt like you. They have fears like you. So we must be very careful and attentive to them in parenting. We can't treat them, we can't act like babysitters. Like, all right, I'll give you a house. I'll give you some food. I'll give you some toys. You got the gifts for your birthday. You got the gifts for Christmas. And then that's it. Our parenting has to be more in-depth and more attentive. So a father and a mother that's living in the same home, that's one dynamic or one aspect of co-parenting. If you are going to be successful at co-parenting, you must be on the same page. So you have to have excellent communication. So let's start with communication between the parents. You must be able to be on the same page. Talk about things. Have conversations about raising this child or these children. You may come from Africa. The dad, you might be from Africa, and mom might be from Asia. And that's two different dynamics. That's two different cultures. That's two different regions. how each of you were raised were very different. So you have to talk about creating a very controlled and stable environment for your child, for the success of the child and the children. So it's you have to have those conversations. Talk, sit down, carve out time to speak with each other, communicate with each other. If you have a disagreement, take your time and work it out. There is no quick fix blueprint to co-parenting because every child is different. Let me tell you, I have twin boys, identical twins. They talk alike, look alike, do almost everything alike, but two different personalities. And our approach as parents, their mother and I, have to be different to each one. So you have to speak, you have to communicate with each other. You don't want to be in an environment or in a circumstance where you are disagreeing with each other in front of the child. Okay, that's another tip. So present a unified front in front of the children. Even if you have to go back later and have a discussion about what you don't agree with. But you don't want to, mom or dad, you don't want to be discouraging or disparaging to the other parent and confronting them or disagreeing with them in a disrespectful manner or a dishonorable way in front of the child. Because the child is going to take that information, and one child might be more attached to mom or might be more attached to dad, and that will and can affect their mannerisms and their behaviors towards one of the parent. And they'll act a certain way around dad because they know, well, mom gonna cuss him out, or mom gonna get him right, mom is gonna be on my side, or mom is gonna do this because I've seen it. So children are very intuitive. They absorb everything. And so we must be careful to provide a unified front. Thank you, Carmisha. Carmisha said, great tip. So provide a unified front. You don't want to be arguing in front of the child, and you want to be able to communicate. Talk about the things that some things you'll think about ahead of time, and some things might come up in the process of parenting. You might say, oh, I didn't even think this particular situation would come up. Let's go talk about it in our room, or let's set a date to talk about it and come to a resolve, come to an agreement. You can't walk away not coming to a resolve. You cannot do that. This is about the child. This is about raising children and raising them to be successful in life. So you have to quickly come to a resolution and say, okay, this is how we're going to approach this circumstance with our children. This is the guidelines that we're going to set. You don't want, I'm moving on to the next point now. You don't want to allow the disagreements that you have in your marriage or your relationship as parents, father and mother. Don't let that trickle down into how you parent the children. So, perfect example. Jimmy comes home and Betty says, hey, Jimmy. Let me do a lady's voice. Hey, Jimmy, can you take out the garbage? Y'all like my voice? And then Jimmy say, all right, baby, I'll do it. And then Betty's like, but Jimmy, can you do it right now? And you're like, all right, I'll get to it. And then so Jimmy never takes out the garbage. Now Betty is mad. And she gets into whatever she gets into. She takes it out on Jimmy. Now she don't want to talk to Jimmy. She's upset with Jimmy. And because she's upset with Jimmy, she's like, I can't be bothered with the children. I'm gonna let them do whatever they're doing because I'm mad with Jimmy. And since he don't want to take out the garbage, then I'm not going to say anything to the children or to the child. Now you're creating an environment where you're leaving the child, you're not giving the child the proper attention. Because if a child is doing something that's not right, if they're misbehaving or they're saying something that's not right, it should be addressed. So saying things like, well, that's your child, or I ain't saying nothing about that because that's just like you, like those type of things we cannot allow to get into our parenting. So this is what I mean when I say keep the main thing the main thing. So if we're talking about parenting and training and development, let it be about that. Us being upset with each other, us not liking what the other person did or didn't do, we have to keep that separate, because that will impact the child, and it will impact the child negatively. And it will cause them now to take that behavior, the child, outside of the home. So not only will they start acting crazy at home, and they might not even do it so much at home. They might act up a little bit at home, but then when they get to school, or then when they go to the playground, or when they go over to auntie house or whoever, then you see that behavior flare up, and you're trying to figure out, like, who, my son, my daughter? Yes. And it's because you allowed your dislikes, you allowed your anger, you allowed your frustration to carry over into how you parent your child. So now I'm not going to give them the proper attention. I'm going to leave them be because I'm mad with Jimmy who didn't take out the garbage. So we cannot, and I say again, we cannot do that. Somebody type in, we cannot do that, while I get a drink of water. Somebody say, if Jimmy don't take out the garbage, I'm not going to neglect my children. I'm going to ignore Jimmy because he ignored me. All right. So I love that comment. And the reason I love that comment, because we're going to talk about that, but that's for another episode. That's for another episode later on down in the season, because we're going to talk about how to relate and how to successfully be in marriage and courting and all of that. So I love that you made that comment, but we cannot do that. All right. So keep the main thing, the main thing. Hashtag keep the main thing, the main thing. When you talk to somebody tomorrow, your friends or another parent or whatever, just keep the main thing, the main thing. Then another aspect of parenting is we have the grandparents. You have grandma, grandpa. They're an extension and should be an extension of the foundation that mom and dad sets. Grandparents, again, successful co-parenting is all about the child, raising a child in the way that they should go. So in that training, in that parenting, which is established by the parents, you're giving the child identity. You're helping them to understand who they are, who they are not. You don't behave like that. You don't speak that way. Mom and dad should be saying that, and then grandma and grandpa should be saying that, and everybody else down the line. That's the main thing. That's what we are focused on, the children. And I'm telling you all, environments matter. If environments, think about your own self. If certain environments you don't want to be in, certain environments, us as adults, we're like, no, I'm not going there. Or I'm not talking to her. I'm not going to that place. I'm not doing that. Environments matter. Why? Because it impacts you. It affects you. It gets you in a certain, possibly a certain mood. It's frustrating, or it doesn't put you in a good mindset. It stresses you out. Possibly it causes you to be anxious. There's several different things, different type of environments do, but environments matter. And it matters for you enough for you to say, no, I'm not going to so-and-so house, or I'm not going to that restaurant because last time I went, it was so much smoke, and then the smoke got in my, and then it gave me a headache. Environments matter. If it matters for you, then absolutely it matters for the children. It matters for the child. It matters for your sons. It matters for your daughters, your nieces, your nephews, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren. So successful co-parenting, another view you should have is making sure that the environment is the proper environment for the child all the time, not some of the times, all the time. And that's the responsibility that we carry by being parents. We have to be on it every day. And this is why it takes a village, because some days I might not have it. I might not be so strong, but I know I have grandma. I can take them to grandma, and grandma is going to still maintain the proper environment. Or I can send them to Uncle Steven, or I can send them to Auntie so-and-so. And I know that the environment won't change. The environment I established for them won't change, and I can take a break. I can breathe. I can rest. Right? Because we have so many other responsibilities in life. We have financial responsibilities, our job responsibilities. For those of us that have our own businesses, those responsibilities. Then we have other friendships, and we have our families, and we have so much going on. So some days you're going to need the help, and you should always welcome the help, the proper help from the team, from the coaching staff, from the village. Okay? So environments matter. Please don't forget that. Anytime, anywhere you have your child, you must be thinking, okay, what type of environment is this for them? That's successful co-parenting, because you provide stability for them. And stability helps to push them or progress them in maturity. You ever seen a child that's really young, 7 years old, 6 years old, 8 years old, and you say, oh my God, they're so mature for their age. They speak so well. That's a result of the environments that the team, that coaching staff, that village has them in. So when you see an 8-year-old or a 7-year-old and you go to yourself, oh my God, they're so mature, they're so advanced for their age. That's a direct result of the environments that they're in. They're in stable environments. And as a result of being in a stable environment, guess what? They mature. They grow. So let's be mindful of that. Let's implement that. All right. And keep the main thing. All right. So I touched on mother and father, grandfather, grandmother, aunts, uncles, everybody who follows down the line. You're following the lead of the parent. Now, let's say we have a scenario where the parents aren't doing what they should be doing. Let's say the parents aren't doing what they should be doing. Grandma, grandpa, auntie, uncle, those who are the assistant coaches, right? You cannot say things like this to the children. I don't know what your mama doing. I don't know what your daddy doing. I don't even know why God gave them to, or crazy things. You don't do that. I would suggest that you try and speak to the parents. You try and have a conversation with the parents, try and help, try and lend a helping hand. And if that doesn't work, if the children are ever allowed in your company, then you create the environment that you know is good for a child to be in, for a child to thrive in, and you don't attack the parent. And that I'm speaking of mother and father, but that goes for any parent, grandmother, grandfather, aunt, uncle. We let's not do those type of things in front of the children. And I know it may seem like, what? That's too much, but it's really important. And that's how attentive we have to be to our children and for our children. And I know some of us are real good disciplinarians and we real ready to whoop somebody's tail. But a lot of the times it's not the child's fault. I wish I had a sound effect right there. I could drop a bomb or something. I got to talk to my engineer so he could help me out next week and drop a bomb. But it's not always the child's fault, or not totally the child's fault. You help to create that monster. You help to create that bad behavior. You help to create that misbehaving. You help to create that. Why? Because you weren't attentive to the environment that you were creating. You were not attentive at all. And so now when the child sees your behavior and see how you act and hear what you say, and then they repeat that or they act out on that, now you want to whoop them. That's not right. That's not fair. And that actually affects them negatively. That hinders their growth. That hinders their security. I'm telling you, it hinders their growth. It hinders their security. It hinders even their security, their establishment in their identity, who they are. So you don't want to do that to your children. And many times we're very unattentive and very unaware of what we're saying, what we're doing around our children, the environments that we have them in. All of that matters. So I'll give you an example. There's a restaurant that me and my brother, Russell, my good brother, and Dr. T.D. McNutt, our apostle, we wanted to go to a place called Moxie's. If you haven't been there, go there. I don't even know if they're going to give me a something sponsorship or something, but Moxie's is the place. Go get you some steak, some salmon. Moxie's is the place. But we went and we didn't carry the children. Why? Because that environment wasn't suitable for children. So it's not everywhere that you go to eat. It's not everywhere that you go to hang out. They can't go everywhere. They shouldn't go everywhere, let me say. So let's be mindful of that. All right. So let me look at my notes here so I can keep going in the right direction. I pray and I hope that you all are being blessed or being helped. And this is sparking thoughts. It's helping you. There are things that you can implement. Probably things you never thought about before. All right, so we talked about the godparents, the uncles, aunts, and so on and so forth. They should all follow the lead of the parents. Okay, the parents are the head coach and should take that responsibility very seriously. I want to talk about for a few moments when a mother and a father and a mother, are not in the same home. That can be very, very challenging. I mean, all aspects of parenting is challenging, but that can be very challenging. If you are a parent right now and you and the dad are don't live together, and sometimes the child or the children are with the father and sometimes they're with you, that can be challenging when the environments are different. So what you want to do in those circumstances, as much as you can, you want to have, again, conversation, communication about the children, if you can. Hey, can we not let David and Caleb, or can we not let Kevin listen to such and such music, or can we not have them watch that type of movies, or can we not put them in this type of environment? Or if you're gonna hang out with your friends, do what you do. If you're gonna, whatever you're gonna do, can you not smoke around the children? Can you not drink around the children? Have those conversations as much as you can, and try to make and have a consistent environment when they're with you as the dad or the mom, and then the other parent. And then make sure when they go into auntie house and uncle house and grandma house and everybody house, godfather house, make sure those environments are right too. I'm not leaving. Hey, everybody plays a part. Listen, I'm pointing at you. Everybody has a responsibility. It takes a village. Okay. But yeah, when you live in separate homes, they're two different environments. As much as you can, try to communicate about the children. That's not the time to talk about why the relationship didn't work. That's not the time to talk about what you wish you didn't do and what you should have done and all of the other stuff and side chick, baby. That's not the time for all of that. No. You go to counseling for that separately. Okay? When you talk with the father or the mother, hey, let it be about the children. And if it's difficult, if either parent is making it difficult, again, I say, create the right environment at home and do as much as you can. Be stable, create that stable environment, train them up in who they are, reinforce those things. Even though when they go back with dad or mom, it may be a different environment and not a suitable environment. And that's tough on the children. I'm telling you, that's difficult on children. But as much as you can, because you can only control so much. You can control what you can control. You can't tell somebody else what to do. You can't do that. So create that stable environment and don't ever speak ill of the other parent to your children. Don't do that. Even if the children are telling you about something that happened when they were with mom or dad. Yeah, last week we went to this bar and dad was sitting at the bar and he drank 5 Budweiser or 5 Red Stripe, and listen, taking the information and go, really? Wow, dad did that. Okay, mom did that. Wow. Okay. You may even want to ask them how it made them feel being in that type of environment. Have the conversation with dad or mom separately about your dislike. You didn't appreciate that. That's not good for the children. Have that conversation with the mom or the dad. And then if they don't change it, file for full custody. I'm for real. I'm not even being funny. File for full custody so that they can be in the most stable environment as much as possible. I firmly believe that every child needs their mother and father involved. I really do. But if it comes to a point where either parent is not providing that stable environment, a great environment, and the proper training, then, file for full custody, because it will benefit the children in the long run, better in the long run. I promise you it will. It's not ideal, but it will benefit them better in the long run. All right. So here's what I want to highlight, some points I want to highlight. And then if there are any questions, if you have any questions, I really appreciate all your comments. I see them. I'm not ignoring your comments. I do see them. So thank you all for putting your comments. So let's communicate with each other, parents, mom, dad, and the whole team. Let's communicate clearly with each other. Here's another key to successful parenting. Communicate with the children. How many of you sit down and have conversations with your children? Conversations you think that they can't even handle, or they're not going to understand. Don't do them like that. Don't do them like that. Nah, don't do them like that. Have conversations. Sit with them. Speak with them. Ask them how they are feeling. Ask them what are they thinking? Ask them about speak to them about their emotions, helping to understand clear emotions. What is sadness? What is disappointment? What's anger? What's excitement? What's nervousness? This is another key to successful co-parenting, is being able to communicate with the children effectively. Not only telling them what to do, you do this because I said so. It's absolutely be the parent, but again, they're humans. They have emotions. They have a soul. They have a mind. They have a personality. They have likes. They have dislikes. They have their own unique imprint that God has given them. Yeah. So talk to your children and don't push your fears on them. Don't push your biases on them, whether it be food or whatever. Now, hey, I'm gonna be transparent. I'm working on that because I'm Jamaican and I love ackee and saltfish and dumpling and banana and I give my children that, and there are things that they like that I don't like, and I've learned to let them be more free in trying different foods and things like that, and they love it. They love chitlins. I've never had chitlin a day in my life, but my twin sons love chitlins. I'm telling you, they love it, and I've never had it. But don't impose your fears upon them. Don't impose your biases upon them. Speak to them from a training and development aspect. You're training them. You're helping them to be solid in their own feelings and their own likes and dislikes, and you know, like train them. Don't put your fears on them. And it can be easy to do that. It can be easy to put your biases in there, but let's be mindful of that. That's why we're talking about this tonight. Murphy's Law. Let's apply wisdom. Let's become aware of some of the things that we may not have been so adept to or cognizant of that we were doing. Like, oh man, I'm boxing my child in. I'm not allowing them to experience more fullness of life. Okay? So learn or practice to communicate with your children also. And then get help. Somebody say get help. God didn't give it to you to do it alone. Again, it takes a village to raise a child. So as long as everyone is on the same page, grandpa, grandma, all the coaching staff, the assistant coaches and everybody, as long as they're on the same page and they're willing to follow your lead, get help. You don't have to do this alone. You don't have to do this alone. Trying to do anything alone, I'm going to say this again. Trying to do anything alone is only going to lead to frustration and failure. You need people. You need the right people, but you need people. Get help. You might even face a circumstance as parents that I don't know how we can handle this. Let's ask grandma. Let's ask Uncle so-and-so. They have experience in that. Let's ask that, so get help. Somebody said, my mother, Nana Murph, said, use up the coaching staff. Use up the coaching staff. Absolutely. Use the coaching staff. Call the assistant coach. Say, assistant coach, get them for the weekend, please. Thank you. Yeah. All right. So again, guys, the email address is letsapplywisdom@gmail.com. I would really love it for you all to email us there and write your questions, any comments you may have, and let them know. Let us know rather. Hey, I'm enjoying it. This blessed me. Can you talk about this topic? Can you explore these topics? So we love to hear from you. It's on the screen. letsapplywisdom@gmail.com. Everybody give a round of applause to my engineer, my little brother, Stephen Murphy. Yeah, let's give him a little round of applause right now. He deserves it. I think that I'm going to have to continue this conversation some more. What do you all think? I think I'm going to have to pick this up and do a part 2. So I think there's going to be a part 2 of this, and I'm going to have some guests on to help us take us further, because parenting is a really serious thing. Again, as I said in the beginning of the broadcast, the future matters. The future matters. And so if you're looking at society now, at the world now, and you're saying, what will it be like in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years? Guess what? You have a part in it. You can either help it in a progressive way, or you can cause it to go in the other direction. All right. I'm so excited. Season 2 is back, man. Okay, I see people are saying part 2, so we're definitely going to do a part 2 because there's so much that's left for us to dive into and go into about this successful co-parenting. Above it all, I want you to remember, when it comes on to parenting, keep the main thing the main thing. When you get upset, when you are exhausted, when you feel like you don't want to do it, whatever you may go through, keep the main thing the main thing. Through your dislikes, your likes, your biases, all of that, keep the main thing the main thing. So there will be a part 2. I see so many of your comments. So we're going to talk about step parents. Absolutely. We'll talk about it. Okay. So there will be a part 2. I so thank you all for joining us tonight. It was so good to see all of you, to have the support of every single person that's here and that will watch again and that will download the podcast. Again, hey, let's apply wisdom at gmail.com. That is the email address. Email us, talk to us, let us know how it's blessing you. Give us, some topics that you would love to hear discussed here. Next week, why don't you invite somebody? Tell somebody about it. Invite them, tag them. After this, you can go back and download the podcast. I'll give all that information to you all so you can know where to get the podcast and download the podcast. This has been Murphy's Law. Tonight we talked about successful co-parenting, keeping the main thing the main thing.